Welcome back to the Smoke Pit.
Hey.
So today we have a very special guest.
As usual.
As usual. And so would you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, I am Michael Welch. I'm an MA1 in the United States Navy. I'm currently serving at the Riverine Unit, Coastal Riverine Unit 2 on Little Creek.
Nice.
So for those of you who don't know what that means, MA is Master at Arms, and specifically what they do is they pepper spray drunk Marines.
That's right. They
That's
arrest
correct.
hooligans like
On
myself.
deployment and give them the old baton to the shins.
That's correct.
Yeah, so we we kind of have a love-hate relationship. I was in Guantanamo Bay, and one of my Marines got drunk and peed on one of the MA's cars.
Oh, wow.
But thankfully, I was cool with most of them, and everyone knew he was an idiot, so they just released him into my care, and instead of causing like an incident.
For sure.
So we're pretty appreciative for that.
Is that protocol when idiots pee on cars? You just release them?
Well, the thing is, most of our idiots also pee on our cars, so
gotcha.
Yeah,
a lot
seriously.
of urine.
release on their own recognizance.
Yeah, the MAs actually had more libo incidences than anybody else.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so when you talk about setting the example, like, all right, none of these, I don't want any of these shenanigans. Like, don't do specifically what I'm about to do tonight.
Do as I say, not as I do.
I
There you
live
go.
by that, absolutely.
The cool thing about having guests is that, you go to a smoke pit and you see, in your unit or whatever, and you see somebody you don't recognize, and you kind of start the whole dog sniffing each other's butt ritual.
Oh, yeah.
Like, who are you? What do you do? What's your MOS? And because I hear that a lot too. Like our shitty producer, whenever we're out in town and we see a veteran, he's always like, "What's your MOS?"
Yeah.
Like trying to
Even
figure him out.
even though our shitty producer's borderline stolen valor. So.
Yeah, borderline stolen valor. I'm pretty sure he's a Boy Scout, so that kind of counts, right?
It's whatever.
Yeah,
He
as
got
long
a
as he has his
red
valid
medal,
badge.
Yeah, I mean, like Boy Scouts, that's pretty much like Army boot camp.
It's
like,
yeah.
So, we kind of do a bad job at the military as only focusing on our piece of the pie, where we get focused on the way our unit did it, the way we did it back when I was in, or the way we did it here. And we have to realize that, you maybe interact with, like, how many guys are in your shop?
My own, I'd say I have about 35 in my platoon, so.
About 35 that you work with on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
Other Mike?
Yeah, same thing. Yeah,
co-host Mike?
There's so many blanks. Less than 40 for sure.
Yeah, and so, with the infantry platoon, you have 50, a couple guys that you remember from other schooling or that you gotten cool with or whatever. So you're talking about 50 people. Our military is like almost 2 million people, including the reserves and the National Guard and auxiliaries and stuff like that. So you're talking about most people, at the course of their career, they maybe meet a couple hundred people. And that's only a fraction of one generation, not to mention the millions who have served in the past. Oh, by the way, that's one branch of the different we have in this country. And oh, by the way, that's only one country in the entire world.
Yeah.
So people get so fixated on, oh, that's not right. We don't do it that way, or that's, and it's like, okay, well, I have like 26 different countries that follow. EP Mike, how many countries follow the podcast?
42.
42 different countries follow this podcast.
That's way too many.
And
I had no idea of this.
yeah, we were trying to figure out who was following us in Iraq, and it was like, obviously it's our buddy over there,
Exactly,
AJ.
yeah.
And he's on his like 10th deployment now.
But you don't know that.
We don't know that for sure. Like he's over there, and we have no idea who's actually listening to us or how far this reaches. So,
But thank you. Whoever
thank
you are.
you.
Yeah,
Thank you for
whoever you are.
listening.
Yeah.
for Bangladesh and Darfur and all
These
those
people
places.
don't even have Wi-Fi, but they download our podcast.
Yeah, they walk 30 miles to the nearest Starbucks.
Uphill both ways.
That's
ways.
right. Yeah, just to hear that our producer's a bag of dog shit. That's so many things in my head.
Hairy bag of dog shit. But that has to. You have to say a lot about how he actually puts up with us if we just come up here and berate him
For
every
sure.
week.
Well, he's got that big dick energy, so.
BDE.
Seriously,
Oh, he does. Yeah, he radiates. Yeah.
Yeah,
Bravo
and-
Delta Echo for the layman. For the layman.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so we have all these different ways of life in the military, and so it's good to bring on different guests and kind of hear a little bit about what life is like for them. So if you had to like summarize what the Master at Arms experience has been for you, what would you say?
It's different. We have so many different aspects of what we can possibly do. Right now, I'm in one that I really feel is near and dear to me. There's a lot I get to do that I can't do and other MAs can't do throughout the fleet. So mostly, as an MA, we focus on law enforcement, security, force protection. But now that I'm part of the Riverine unit, there's a lot more history there. There's a lot more mission set there that I'm just not used to. So I'd have to say that the Master at Arms really get classified as MPs. We get called MPs more than we get called MAs,
Yeah.
honestly, especially for people that are in the military.
Yeah, and for Marines, we call them Provo Marshal Officers, some PMO, like some weird shit.
Exactly, it's that acronym crossbreeding.
And security forces for, you know,
The Air Force.
Air Force and gay in the Army. MPs.
So many acronyms.
And then, you know, whatever they call them in Australia and England and Norway and Germany and, you know, all these different countries. So with doing the Riverines, do you have any cool stories or anything that was like, what the fuck you didn't expect?
You know, I wish I had a few more cool stories because the Riverine unit has a really rich history, especially during the times of Vietnam.
Oh, sure.
I mean, James E. Williams, Medal of Honor winner, he was one of our heroes. And the thing is, the mission has changed so much because the war isn't the same, the conflict isn't the same, the enemy's not the same.
Sure.
Yeah, you have like two rivers in Iraq, like the Helm and Euphrates, and like, they're just like violently patrolling those rivers.
Yeah.
Like, if you're within 200 yards of this river, you're getting fucked up.
Yeah, lay hate. But, you know, we're not on that anymore. You know, we're no longer that offensive unit just because of the war that we're fighting. We're more defensive now, you know.
Yeah, and I was talking to EP Mike about this. We were on the Euphrates River in '05, and some Army engineer unit came out and put a pontoon bridge. And so, like, even then, it's just like you can't even pipe the whole river because there's a goddamn bridge in the way. Like, turn around, boys. Head back. These 500 yards are safe. So more defensive. So do you find like your mission kind of aligns more with like the Coast Guard, what they're doing?
You know, we actually work closely with the Coast Guard, whether it be foreign nation Coast Guard as well as home ported Coast Guard. And I got to say, you know, there's so many branches that shit on the Coast Guard. You know that Department of Defense, you know, Department of Homeland Security beef for a long time. But I got to say, I've met some Coast Guard guys down in Lejeune even that were going through some training while we were at Advanced Combat Shooter, and they are just stellar performers. Not only are they all about the mission, but they're just great guys.
Yeah.
And I think the question that all of our listeners are wondering is, how hot are they?
Yeah, exactly. What do they look like?
What do they look like?
1 to 10. I mean, you know, tall, dark, and handsome. You know, unlike this apparition here.
I am what I am, and I refuse to be anything other than that.
I am what I am.
That's right.
Popeye was also a sailor.
Yes, he was.
Yeah. All right. So the next question is that have you found yourself doing more operations CONUS or OCONUS?
Mainly our operation is OCONUS. Granted, we do a lot of our training cycle here in the United States. We have small missions, mostly on the East Coast, although we do have sister units out in the
where
West.
all the meth heads are.
Absolutely.
Right, yeah. The biggest threats.
Yeah, the West Coast has graduated to crack and spank, you know, like
They have
adults.
more money, must be nice.
We're stuck over here with all the meth heads and the bath salts.
That's right.
Yeah.
So have you have a favorite country that you like to operate in?
Oh man, we worked in UAE, and it's a beautiful country. It has its areas that are less than.
I feel like the word emerald is in there, but I know it's not right.
No,
Emirates?
you would be incorrect. It is the United Arab Emirates. Yes.
Our studio audience is cringing right now. I know what I was talking about. Funny, okay?
No, it is an amazing country, though.
Exactly. This is my show right here.
Yeah, I Googled it before I said something. Yeah, so do you ever get any libo ports over there? Like you get to go out and drink, pick up women, all that kind of stuff?
So it's different there. You do have your mission set that you're going to be going to throughout the week. Now, you do have Liberty time. There are cities there. Dubai is right outside of Jebel Ali. So
yeah,
Dubai is such a forward city. It's much different than most of the other country there. Down on the border of Oman, you're going to find different cities, different towns. This doesn't even reach out, not even close to Dubai.
Right.
But Jebel Ali, it's a main shipping port. There's a lot of traffic going on there.
Right.
It's pretty beautiful.
I've never been to the UAE. What was the craziest thing you saw over there?
You know, there's a lot of crazy stuff. The culture is so different. But I know we were talking about earlier in the day about the Japanese toilets and how they clean you.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, in the UAE, it's very different. There's hoses. It's almost like a bidet, but instead it's all manual labor really back there.
Yeah.
Fucking garden hose.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, this is new for me. So I get to the country within about...
You didn't grow up spraying your asshole with water?
No.
Exactly.
What a fucking
I'm
hillbilly.
dry wiping like a
We're not
hobo.
raised Catholic, that's right.
So I sit down on this toilet and I realize within probably the first 30 seconds of my shit that this hose is to spray my ass out. So rightfully so, I spray my ass. It was actually pretty nice, you know, liked it. And it's pretty clean at the end of the day, not wiping like a hobo.
Yeah.
And so I figured the whole city does the same thing. I was wrong. So I go out to my first public restroom in the city. I won't say which city it is, just to maintain the integrity of the people there.
Yeah, rhymes with Dubai.
Yeah, something like that. And so I go into this public restroom, and the same kind of setup is there. This hose on the wall, but it seems that there's a very big translation gap between what I'm supposed to do with this thing, because it seemed that the individual that used it before me had sprayed front to back, leaving a Jackson Pollock of shit across the walls. And not only that, but I look up to the ceiling. To my horror and chagrin are these shit stalactites facing me.
Shit stalactites.
And I'm in desert heat. I have a sweaty butthole. And so the only thing I'm thinking is swallow hard and get this shit out as quick as possible.
Yeah, I imagine like a 3-point stance, like a fucking, like a...
It was almost linebacker-ish. Yeah, I had the white knuckle, the knuckles taped. Yeah, I got it off quick, but needless to say, I didn't touch the hose that time. I went dry.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd say that was it.
Yeah, I can imagine like a long snapper. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was tapered quick. Like a trap door.
Out, Marino. Laces out.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. So do you have a favorite place that you've been to party then? Like a favorite liberal port?
Oh, well, my favorite place I've ever been stationed in general was just Hawaii.
Yeah?
Oh my gosh. Pearl Harbor.
Yeah, I came from Hawaii too.
There you go.
Yeah, I was in
It's
K-Bay.
amazing.
So do you guys have any crazy stories about like, your buddies picking up women or like crazy nights or anything that stands out about Hawaii?
Well, I'll tell you what. It wasn't my buddies, but there are some ships that go through there.
I don't know. I know of.
Well, during RIMPAC, you have all these different nations there. You've got your own home-ported ships.
Wait. The Navy has an exercise called RIMPAC?
Yeah. You're welcome.
Yes, unfortunately named.
Exactly.
Yes.
I feel like aptly named. I'm all about the pack.
Pack the rim.
There's a street that runs right through the city of Honolulu called Kuhio Street, and it is Ladyboy Central. So we would like to do our shore patrols down there and watch some unfortunate sailors fall into the traps
You know
of these
what's funny about
ladyboys.
the Hawaii ladyboys, other than like other countries and stuff?
They're
like,
6'7".
They're enormous. Exactly.
Yeah.
Like they don't even try. Like it's like a dude who looks like character from Grand Theft Auto, just all methed out with like a wig and like stilettos on. Like, you try to party or what? Like,
Yeah.
They don't even try.
Yeah, it's that nice cocktail dress on.
Exactly.
Yeah, on the hook from the All Blacks.
Exactly.
So
And then you have, the dumb enlisted Marines and sailors are down there and they're like, fuck it, a hole's a hole,
Hey, love is love. How dare you? Yeah.
Yeah, and I have long said this, and any of my guys who are on Afghanistan with me will be able to remember this. But like when you're like 6 months into deployment, I told them, I was like, don't get shot because I will fuck the gunshot wound.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's
warm. It's tight.
It's
yeah.
warm. It's tight. I mean, I don't care if it's bleeding. This never stopped me. A period only stops a sentence, baby girl. Speaking of which, do you guys have your Red Wings?
Do I?
You got your Red Wings?
inadvertently,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Same thing. Yeah, I didn't want them, but I earned them.
Oh, see, that didn't bother me. What? It just stayed towards the clit, Like,
And it's not the fact. I was just surprised with it. Like, it was a surprise award. Like, I didn't expect this name. I just got it.
Yeah, so that didn't stop me whatsoever, but I think it should stop some of these young individuals who are picking up 6'7" lady boys.
Yeah, for sure.
Any other crazy sightings or personal experiences you have about like?
I had my worst Tinder experience in Hawaii, actually. It's not Hawaii. It just happened to happen in Hawaii. It's a really long story. I'm sure I've told you this before,
Okay,
right? Just
well,
offhand.
like wave tops.
Oof. So,
All right, so
okay.
summary was you got fucked in the ass.
Yeah.
And
Super
the
nice
end.
dude. Yeah.
Still staying contact.
Same guy.
We sent each other
exactly.
Christmas cards, slide in a
he's doing
Barnes
fine,
and
by the
Noble
way.
gift certificate.
Yeah, no, I'll wave to it. It's a super long story. So essentially, I matched this girl on Tinder. I was down in Waikiki, and we were hanging out. And it was the anniversary of when she killed her cousin in a car accident.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, right. It's a long story. And so she was like hammered drunk. Like the whole date was just a mess. And she convinced me to keep hanging out with her. Like we went to a bar that her friend was the bartender at, and so I got free shots and stuff. But she was like so depressing and just so horrible. And then
Sounds hot.
and she wasn't ugly, but so we ended up hanging out even more. And so I'm to the point like, well, I can't drive back to K-Bay because I'm fucking shithouse. So I got a hotel room and I tried to ditch her, and I fucking go. And so Hawaii, there's ABC stores like fucking everywhere. Like every single corner. And so
Like, why are there so many alcoholics?
exactly,
Here,
it's a fucking mystery. And So yeah, there's an ABC store in the lobby of my hotel, and so I'm walking by, and I ditched her like an hour ago, and she's in the ABC store buying a handle of vodka after day drinking with me all fucking day.
Wow.
And she's a tiny girl, and so she's like in a blackout buying more vodka, and she's like, "Oh, are you staying at the hotel?" I was like, "No, I'm just here to like hide a body or whatever I said, like to fucking get her away from me." But she goes, "Can I come up to your room and charge my phone real quick?" And I was like, whatever. So at this point, I texted my boys, like, somebody come save me. So I had plans, but then one by one, they kept ditching me. So I was just like, whatever. This night is just the worst. So we fucking, we ended up drinking, like, that whole handle of fucking vodka all night.
Like, oh no, I don't want to be with her. Pound her for liquor.
Yeah, well, I had no choice. I was fucking trapped.
That's like
Teleport
compensation.
via alcohol.
So yeah, exactly. And so by the end of the night, just hearing about her cousin's death and why everybody hates her and she's gonna kill herself and all this craziness, like it was a terrible date. So I wake up, it's like 7 in the morning, I'm like sweating vodka, and she's passed out, just clutching the fucking bottle. So I'm like, all right, I finally have my out. So I'm like stumbling down these stairs, and I get back to my car, and my car got towed. So I had to fucking go across the island to whatever buttfuck toad.
I've been there.
It's the fucking
It's the
worst.
one.
It's the worst. It's
There's
the one.
one.
It's the one. Yeah.
They
It's
got a
And he's
monopoly.
angry.
yeah, fucking Reagan's tow truck, real piece of shit. So I go there, and it's like it's chained, like the fucking the lot's chained up, like it's like closed Sundays, even though we tow Saturdays. So some of these, and
It's that extra day.
yeah, some of those, and
Extra impound fee
So
day.
bro, I'm
Yep.
just sweating vodka. I'm in a terrible mood, and I finally get a hold of this guy. He opens it up. He's like, all right, that'll be like $6,000 or whatever it was, something crazy expensive. I'm like, fine. I hand him my card. He's like, oh, we only take cash. I was like, okay, so what? I just steal my car now? And he's like, no, but we have an ATM. I'm like, cool. And he's like, but it's broken. And then we just stood at each other. I'm like, I'm so close to killing you right now. It's not your fault. And so I'm like, so what now? I just die here? Like we live together now in this trailer? And he's like, no. He's like, there's an ATM. So I'm walking, sweating vodka. My phone's dying. I walk to this fucking gas station. I buy a Gatorade. I'm like, can I get cash back? Like, yeah, absolutely. I'm like, I need like $300. They're like, well, we can do 10. I'm like, okay, well, this isn't what I need.
All right, I'll do 30 more
I'll do- yeah,
Gatorades.
exactly. Gatorades for everybody. And
What
so
are your cheapest things in the shop? They're like, oh, these condoms. You're like, I don't use those.
Yeah, exactly. What am I buying
I will refuse to support that industry.
my car impounded before I did it. So I'm walking across the island. I finally find an ATM. I finally get my card to work, and it's been like an hour and a half. My phone's like almost dead. I get back to this place, and it's locked and chained again. And I'm about to throw up from just anger and frustration. And then finally he comes out. He's like, "Oh, I thought you left." And I was like, "I fucking hate you." So I make it rain like $1 million on him. Like, give my fucking card, and I go back to fucking to K-Bay.
Wow.
Yeah,
That
obviously
seems
there's
arduous.
You know,
there's so much more into that story that it was just worth. But like it just happened to be Hawaii.
the drunken stumbling actually kind of recollected something from my memory.
What do you got? I love it.
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, total recall. So we used to party all throughout Honolulu. It was a great time. But we found this amazing bar. It was a Coast Guard bar. Go figure. It's called The Hideaway.
The Hideaway, fucking A,
So you know.
Yeah.
So the Hideaway,
love
it
The
really was hidden
really
away.
do.
It's in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, I love
It's a
it.
great bar. So we're out there all night long, cutting up, drinking straight out of the pitcher.
Yep.
Obviously, we get kicked out of this bar. So as we're waiting outside, waiting on, I believe it was our taxi. I don't even think they had Uber at the time.
Yeah.
There's a couple officers that were out there.
Fucks.
And they demanded to see our IDs, our military IDs, these Coast Guard officers. So we get in a little bit of a scuff with them.
Sure.
You know, I don't want to say we roughed them up. We might have roughed them up.
Yeah, exactly.
But regardless,
give and take.
we're waiting around.
Wait, as your adviser, allegedly.
Allegedly, we may or may not have. I cannot confirm or deny.
Or deny.
But there I was, still out in this parking lot, and the music's still playing.
Yeah.
So I cut it up again. And I decided to drop it real low. And I had these fashionable jeans with a hole in the knee. So as I dropped it low, I split my jeans to the top, to my belt line. Now, the only way to fix this is either to tear it into a half Daisy Duke or tear the rest of the leg.
Yeah.
So I tore the rest of the leg down to this ramshackle bell bottom.
Time, yeah.
Yeah, solid.
And so we decide, all right, the cab's almost here. We're good to go. The cab never came.
Oof.
Well, the cab never came for me.
Oh.
All of my buddies piled into the cab and
my
headed
God.
back to base on Joint Base Pearl Harbor. Oh no, I love them. They thought I had already left. I was somewhere stumbling around with my my quarter pants or half pants as we call it nowadays.
If
But
you will, yeah.
Yeah, they're scanning the bar and they're like, all right, well, I don't, he wasn't wearing Daisy Dukes, so I don't think that's him.
he looks
yeah, the
like
half
Mike.
pants individual might not be him.
Yeah.
It was me.
Yeah.
And so somewhere in my incoherent state, I start walking on my way home. And as you know where the hideaway is, you can't walk
Literally,
home.
there's nothing there.
You can't. There's no walk home. So I found myself a nice residential neighborhood to walk through, at which time I blacked out. And when I came to,
You had a family of four.
I was still walking.
Wow.
So
wow.
I was walking and the sun was coming up, and I looked down and I'd removed that pant leg completely now. I must have gotten in the way of my stumbling. Felt it would make me more aerodynamic. And so the pant leg is gone. And as I'm walking, I hear this ringing in the back and this buzzing sound. I don't know what it is. I hear, sir, sir, sir. It got louder and louder. And I look back and there's a cop car standing there. And this guy's looking at me like bewildered, talking over his intercom.
And when cops start saying "sir" repeatedly, that's when you're about to get tased.
Exactly.
And this guy definitely thought I was on bath salts. I mean, I'm in Hawaii. I'm walking down a residential neighborhood, blacked out zombie with half pants on, and I'm dirty. Oh, I'm very dirty. Incomprehensibly dirty. I don't know how it happened. But he stops me and goes, "We need to get you a cab." I said, "Yes, we do." So he calls me a cab. This guy's the nicest guy in the world. He talks to me for about 5-10 minutes until the cab arrives. Now, it is Monday morning.
Okay.
And I'm off from work because I was on shift duty at the time. And this cab drops me off at the main gate of Joint Base Pearl Harbor. Okay. Lots of traffic, lots of brass. All the Pacific Fleet's brass is out there. And he can't go on base.
Yeah, they're all hungover too, probably.
Exactly.
So I'm at Pass and ID. I'm at Pass and ID with half pants on.
Right.
And he goes, "All right, sir, that'll be like $54. So I reached into my pocket, which was still there somehow, and I had a crumpled up wad of $4.
Oh, man.
And I gave it to him and said, "Please, please."
Please.
And he closed my hand and said, "You need it more than I do."
Oh my God.
My soul was crushed.
Oh my God.
Crushed.
By a cab driver in Hawaii.
And so the adrenaline's flowing as I'm walking up to the main gate to present my ID so I don't get shot as a base runner.
Yeah.
And they just can't believe the spectacle that they see. And as soon as I show it, I break off in a dead sprint about 2 miles to the barracks.
What the fuck?
I'm half pants. There's no ninja route to the barracks. I'm on the main road.
Then?
Oh yeah.
Okay,
Oh, he let me on. He goes, "You gotta go."
That was his starting pistol. Yeah.
Yeah, that was it. And I just broke off. Yeah, that was I made it.
Holy shit.
I did it.
Did you make it though? Just like in life.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Sorry, Mom.
I love it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, she's definitely watching.
We've heard so many bad stories about bad Tinder dates and like and bad nights out that I kind of want to shift gears a little bit. We got a lot of feedback from the story that EP Mike told last week, which was clearly false.
No, it's absolutely true. Go ahead.
We conducted a
1000%
poll.
true. Yeah.
I commissioned Cornwall University to do a study. It's just false. So I don't want to bore you with all the details. There's so much science. But yeah, so. Yeah, a lot of people were just like, "Oh, like, how do I get that kind of big dick energy?"
Right.
And so, do you guys have any tips for the listeners of like the best way to proceed to pick up young ladies, or once you finally get one interested, how to keep them? Because I've always said that women are like deer. If you don't look the right way, you don't smell the right way, you don't come from the right direction, you move too fast, they're bold.
If you're driving at night, you hit them with your car.
If you don't use the right bait,
down the window and take your shot.
If you don't cover yourself in urine, and then even if you do take your shot, you might miss.
Yeah.
So for those of you who can't see because you're listening to us on various platforms
in multiple countries.
Countries, co-host Mike and MA Mike are both very good-looking guys.
I'm a little paler than he is, but still good looking. Yeah.
So do you guys have any tips besides just be good looking to pick up girls?
That's pretty much all that's worked for me. So
the good looking thing I don't really think is that important.
Ooh, go ahead.
Honestly,
You would say that.
Yeah, I know.
No, it's I think it's a confidence key.
Yeah.
If you have confidence and you walk into a room and you know what you want to do and you know you've got a goal ahead of you, accomplish it.
Okay.
Be who you want to be who you are. You don't have to change. You don't have to go out and get a new haircut or wear a certain brand of clothes. Just be confident in who you are. Now, if you're a bag of shit, don't be confident.
Yeah.
By all means, if you're a bag of shit, fix yourself first.
But bag of shits don't know they're bags of shit. So
That is true. So have a good group of friends that will tell you you're a bag of shit.
They also don't have friends.
Yeah, because our guest last
Also
week...
true than your father. Your father, sorry.
Totally fucked. Our guest last week, Stephanie, also said confidence is the best way. So now those of you listening kind of have both sides of the story is where we're seeing that confidence. I personally think that effort is probably the most important thing that you could do.
Okay.
So those of you who aren't watching, I actually just ordered a pizza on my phone.
Is that what you were doing?
Yeah. So that way, as soon as we're done recording, the pizza will show up momentarily afterwards, and we can feed everyone that's here.
That's fair. Yeah.
And so you kind of take that into a dating aspect. Like, say you bring a girl home, and like as you guys are making your way to the bedroom, you order like pizza or tacos or whatever. Then after like 45 minutes of rearranging her insides, then the food shows up and you can feed her. And now she just thinks you're fucking the bee's knees.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
So fast food and good dick is what you're saying.
Basically.
All right.
And so
it's the name of my EP. My next mixtape. Fast food and subpar penis.
Extremely average.
Extremely average.
So I think then it's not only just the effort, but then also realizing that just because like, and this goes out to females too, just because the guy is really hot or the girl is really hot, doesn't mean you need to like crucify yourself. Like
that's really true. So it's funny. Like one of the best pieces of advice I ever got was, it's a common phrase, but the first time I heard it, like opened my eyes. One of my old corpsmen said, "No matter how hot she is, there's at least 5 guys that are sick of fucking her and sick of her shit."
Yeah.
And that like resonated so deep with me. I was like, "But wait, they're hot." And he's like, "Doesn't matter." And then obviously the older I get, the more I learn that. So
yeah, because there's like at least 200 girls that are sick of your shit. So
within 30 miles alone.
within this time zone.
Might be in this apartment complex.
EP Mike will never get sick of my shit. I treat him too well.
Too well. And yeah, I mean that's absolutely true, because I have a lot of female friends who they keep continuously getting back with the same guy over and over and over, and they come to me and they're like, "Oh, he's garbage, he's trash," and then I help them get through that, and then like the next day they're like, "Oh yeah, whatever, like we're back together," or we'll post a picture of someone love.
Yeah.
And I can call that out because like I know none of them are listening, because most pretty girls are just obsessed with like what they're doing in life.
It's true, yeah.
They don't have 35 minutes dedicated to a
podcast
or support their friends' goals and
exactly.
dreams.
It's
whatever. What I mean? Just like fast forward 20 minutes into it and like hear one like clip it.
Yeah, and then and send you that audio clip like totally listening.
Totally relatable.
Let me just drop this piece of information I heard.
Totally relatable. I'm like, oh yeah, you relate to me burning down the shit, or my buddy burning down the shitters in Iraq. Like,
exactly.
That's what's relatable. Yeah, and so for those of you listening out there, you don't have to put up with somebody's shit. And it's kind of the same thing with the military,
Yeah, sure.
People are like, oh, well, they hear what I've done and they compare themselves. I'm like, look, you don't need to compare yourself to me. I don't need to compare myself to you. People are like, oh, I only did 4 years. And it's like, only 4 years?
Yeah,
4 years of your life.
Yeah, if that was a prison sentence for jaywalking, you'd be like 4 fucking years. Or like 4 years dedicated to the wrong person. And it's, you don't have to compare yourself. And if you don't feel like the military is treating you the right way, then it's okay to walk away after 4 years.
There's other great venues out there. Yeah. Like, serving your country is wonderful. And if you've done it, then kudos to you. But it's not something you have to do forever. It's not for everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, and some people feel like, especially with chain of commands, like you get out after 4 years and they treat you like a piece of shit, like you don't want to re-enlist. And it's like, fuck you, buddy.
Yeah.
Like, this is why I'm getting out.
Exactly, yeah.
And I did 12 years. Well, really, it's like 11 years and 9 months. I just say 12 years because it's easier to say.
For sure.
We round up around here.
Yeah, we round up.
For sure.
Round up to 3 inches.
Your transition time counts.
I need those 3 inches. Don't take them from me, Dan.
Yeah, and so, and I got out and I started a business, and I see other people become successful.
Yeah.
And I will say that, in my opinion, the people who regret getting out of the military the most are the ones who did not find success afterwards.
Yeah.
Because then you think about the good days that you had with your friends and the good times, and you want that again. Versus guys who get out and they're just crushing it business wise. They got a family, or they're getting late all the time. They're traveling, and like you have a good life. And like no, like I miss the camaraderie. But eat the apple, fuck the core.
Yeah.
For
sure.
And so I honestly feel that the people who are not having successful are the ones who are like, oh, I want to go back in. And like we've said before, success is not defined by how much money you make or your job. It's just about being happy.
It's happiness, 100%.
Because you can be happy in the worst situations. Some of the best memories I've had, like I'm being rained on in some third world shithole with my buddies. And so it's not necessarily the location or the actions, but rather the company.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, when we first landed in the Middle East, it was 124 degrees, and we were on small boats. I think the sea state we were at 5 or 6 feet getting thrown around on 34-footers, and it was terrible. But all we did was we looked at each other, we're in this shit together, and we laughed, and some of the best memories I think I'll have forever.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I get seasick, so fuck that. Like, I'm miserable.
And it still happens. You don't ever really get used to it.
No, I get seasick in a kayak.
On a still pond.
If he sees a screensaver of water, he throws up everywhere.
Yeah, seriously. Thankfully, they never put me on a ship once in 12 years. Like I did just flights to the desert.
Amphibious as fuck. Yeah.
Amphibious as fuck. I'm just a desert toad. Is what it is. Yeah. So EP Mike, how we doing on time?
Jesus fuck.
28 minutes.
We're gonna wrap it up here. Does anybody got any closing thoughts for our audience?
Yeah, actually, I think you hit the nail on the head there. Whether you do 4 years, 12 years, 20 years, you retire. If you've served your country, you did a great deed. And there's nothing to be ashamed of, whether your MOS was a combat effective unit or you were working on paperwork. Because I'll tell you what, our YNs and PSs, they're getting us paid.
Yeah.
So
Sure, yeah.
everyone is just as important. We're all cogs in the larger wheel.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. And it's and I also often say that, like, people who don't even serve in the military, they can still find other capacities. Like, people will message me, they're like, oh, I have, fucking rheumatoid arthritis or some made up disease, and they're like, oh, I can't join the military. Like, oh, what can I do? I would do anything. I'm like, dude, you don't have to be a fucking grunt, sitting around doing nothing to serve your country. Like, you can go out and be an EMT, or you can go out and volunteer.
Yeah.
Learn a language and be a linguist. Like, you would do anything. All right, fine, learn Farsi, and be a translator for the like. How bad do you want to serve?
Yeah.
And personally, I think like being an infantry marine was one of the easiest ways to serve. Granted, physically and mentally, it was. I feel it's one of the more difficult things to do. But as far as like ease, like you show up, you get PT'd, you hike places, you shoot back, and it's just like it's pretty simple. Like I didn't really have to learn a lot.
No.
Like granted, you learn leadership and tactics, but I feel like a lot of that is more initiative driven, where you can have two people go through the same course and one is a decisively better leader.
Yeah.
Because it's just who you are. But like I didn't have to learn a skill set. I didn't have to fucking learn how to like fix a motor or how to file paperwork. The first time I got my goddamn fucking ID card, I'm like 10 years into it. And they're like, oh yeah, you need your CAT card to make a copy in S1. And I sat there like a fucking idiot for 10 minutes trying to make a double-sided copy. People were
Not gonna flip it this way and flip it that way.
Some fucking pogue took a picture of me. It should circulate around. It's like when a dumb grunt tries to use a copier.
Exactly.
And I was like, fuck you guys.
Sometimes buddy rushes don't solve everything.
Yeah, seriously. And like, taking apart a fucking 240 is simple.
Yes,
but
it is.
to me, like the guys who are doing reverse osmosis purification,
No shit,
or like
yeah.
nuclear engineering, or fucking anything else besides infantry, like that shit is hard, you know? Like I can't imagine having to start from scratch. Like I see the National Guard Instagram page will be like ASVAB question of the day, right? And it's just like, what is the square root of buttfuckery?
Yeah.
Like, I have no idea. Like,
69.
69. It's always 69.
yeah, and it's like I mean, looking back at it, and I see dudes who like join when they're like 28. I couldn't imagine that.
No, hell no.
I could not imagine.
I'm so
going at
glad I started
28.
my career young.
Yeah.
Because you have this threshold of bullshit that when you're 19 you just expect that
Right.
oh, this is what it is.
Yep.
But now 30 years old, you look back and you go, holy shit.
Yeah.
I can't believe I put up with it. Because nowadays you would never do that.
Yeah,
Especially basic.
Yeah, I think like your butthole only has a certain tolerance of like what it can take. You know what I mean?
I believe so, yeah.
As far as like green weenie go, like any sort of like armor or protective equipment or whatever, it has a threshold of what it can take.
Yep.
Your sneakers will wear out. Like I got city miles on me now. All right. I'm only 32.
Stop
but I
and
got
go traffic.
Yeah, stop and go fucking traffic. Right. I have like 14 separate claims that the VA recognizes.
Woof.
That they recognize. It's not the ones that they refuse to recognize. All right, like my entire body's a giant fucking check engine light. I couldn't imagine having to start that shit. But then, like, part of me sees like when we lose guys overseas, and I just kind of like look down at my hands and be like, "Fuck, man! Like, should I be doing more?"
Sure.
But then at one point in time, like, have you given enough?
Right.
Because I did 5 deployments and. They were trying to send me on a 6, and I was like, "Fuck me, right?"
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
for sure.
You can only squeeze so much blood from a stone, and but at one point in time, like, have you given enough? And I think that it's kind of the mentality that the military has. It's like if they're not actively participating, they feel down on themselves, and they shouldn't.
No, you should know your threshold.
Yeah.
Because you're not doing anybody good if you're not healthy yourself.
Yeah.
So if you just keep pushing through the shit, but you're not any better of a person, or you're getting weaker and weaker. You're not going to help anybody else. You're a burden.
Yeah, it's absolutely
near
right.
your threshold.
I just kept passing the pit crew and just ran my engine right into the ground. Now everything hurts. So that being said, if you don't have your Red Wings, get out there and get them.
Yeah.
And see you next time.
Yeah. Bye.